What is up, guys? Today we got a review brought to you by Haloview. This is going to be the unboxing, review, and install of the Haloview MC7107 wireless backup camera. Alright guys, and before we get to the unboxing, I'd like to remind you that this video would not be possible without Haloview. Haloview has been kind enough to sponsor this video and also give me an affiliation link. So if you are interested in this product at the end of the video, go ahead and take a look down in the description for my link, use my link, and some proceeds will be kicked back to the channel. Alright guys, so like I said, we're going to be unboxing the Haloview MC7107 wireless backup camera. So let's go ahead and take a look at the box here. Just a few specs. We have 2.4 gigahertz wireless monitor camera system. It is going to feature a monitor and a camera. Now this is the one camera system. They do offer up to 4 cameras per monitor, so this camera will support up to 4 cameras, and you can get that. Now here are a little bit of specs here. We have wiring free, automatic code pairing, IR LEDs for night vision, split screen display for 4 cameras, and video recording. And then down here it says we have a 7-inch monitor, kind of a Wi-Fi symbol, wireless I'm assuming, for the wireless connectivity, 16:9 display, and PAL and NTSC. So let's go ahead and take a look at some other specs here. Features, you guys can go ahead and take a look at that. I'm not going to go ahead and read everything, but I guess one of the main things out of here is 120-degree field of view on the camera, so that's pretty nice, pretty wide angle, pretty good for backup cameras. Some more specs back here, pretty much the same thing that was on the front, just kind of in a more in-depth explanation. Looks like we have a QR code. Don't know where that goes to. You guys can check that out if you wish. And let's go ahead and check out over here, package information. This is just some of the contents that are in the package. So let's go ahead and flip it here. Now, right off the bat, I'm going to tell you that this is a very high quality box. It's not flimsy, holds all the contents really well, and once we get inside you'll actually see how well that this package is packaged. It's actually really well packaged, and I was impressed with that. But I do like the color scheme that's going on here. It has a good presentation and it looks like a quality product. So let's go and take a look inside. Looks like we got a little tab here. We'll go ahead and pull that open. And inside we have the contents. So it looks like we have 2 antennas here and 1 antenna here. I'm assuming these 2 are for the monitor. This is for the camera. So let's go ahead and take those out and we'll set those off to the side for a little bit. Actually, you know what? We'll go ahead and take this whole foam insert out. So let's go ahead and set that off to the side. Okay, looks like we have the monitor here. So let's go ahead and pull the monitor out, and we'll go ahead and set that off to the side. I'm going to get all the contents out, and then I'll lay it all out for you. So it looks like we got the monitor. First impressions, pretty sturdy monitor, nice screen, pretty big, plenty easy to see. Okay, now let's go ahead and take a look here. We got the actual camera itself, and I want you guys to take note of how well this is all packaged. Everything has a spot, everything's covered in foam, no chance of damage in shipment. So let's go ahead and pull this camera out. Alright, so there's the camera. Okay, so initial impressions on this camera. Pretty sturdy mounting system. Looks like we got a mount and kind of a hood to block out the sun. So we fold it out, and then we have the mount on the bottom, and then the camera itself and the hood. You can adjust either of these to the position that you want. And then also looks like we have a wiring loom coming out of here that looks like we're going to be plugging into something. So let's go ahead and set that off to the side for a second. Alright, so in this compartment here we have what looks like a positive and negative, and okay, so this is what's going to be plugging into the camera end. So looks like all that the camera needs is positive and negative, and obviously the antenna. Okay, so let's go ahead and pull this compartment out here, and we'll set that off to the side, and let's go ahead and dig deeper into this package. Looks like we got a pretty substantial set of wires here. Let's go ahead and pull these out and just kind of see what we got here. Okay, so we got a handful of wires here, and looks like the main ones that are going to be used are the red and black, positive and negative, and then all of these are trigger wires. So we'll go ahead and read the manual and see what all those do. But I believe all that's going to need power is the red and black, and then this is going to plug into our monitor. Alright, looks like here we got the monitor mount. The monitor mount is with 3M double-sided tape. 3M's pretty strong, so I'm excited to see that they included a 3M product here. It's not going to have any issues coming off in the future. And it looks like we just have a standard slide in and then friction lock on the back to mount the monitor wherever you need. Alright, looks like we got a user manual and some camera specifications there. Go ahead and set that off to the side. Looks like we got some mounting hardware, some more mounting hardware, Allen key, mounting hardware. Alright, and some more mounting hardware in the box. Go ahead and set that off to the side, and then looks like we got a hood for the monitor. Probably some sort of sun cover so you can see without it being distorted by the sun, and then looks like we got a hard mount as well if you don't want to use the 3M stick. So let's go ahead and get the box out of the way, and I'll go ahead and set all the contents out. Alright guys, we got everything that was in the box all laid out here on the table. So let's go ahead and start the installation process in here while we can. So let's go ahead and start with the antennas. So if you do get the antennas mixed up, there's two ways that you can identify the antennas, and that is that the one for the camera is going to be a little shorter than the one for the monitor. There's also two for the monitor, so these two match, and this one is a little shorter. And then another way that you can identify it is that Haloview actually put on here camera. So we know that this goes to the camera, so let's go ahead and install this onto the camera. Alright, so we got thread here and thread here. We're using the one labeled camera. We'll go ahead and put it on here, making sure to not cross thread it. We'll go ahead and twist it on. Once it's tight, we'll go ahead and give it a little bit of a hand tighten there. Make sure that it is fully tight, and then this antenna is also adjustable to wherever you need the antenna. So let's go ahead and set that off to the side for a second. Okay, now that we have the camera set to the side, let's go ahead and grab our monitor. Now note that the monitor does have a protective film over the screen. We're going to go ahead and keep that on the screen until we actually install it. That way we don't risk damaging the screen while we are installing it. If the screen is if the screen protector is clear enough and it's not distorting the view, we might just leave it on entirely, just to add another layer of protection for the screen, as it is going to be going inside of a work truck and going to be exposed to a lot of different elements. So let's go ahead and install these antennas. The antennas are neatly labeled monitor. Same process here. We're going to put it on, making sure not to cross thread it. We'll go ahead and twist it on and give it a little hand tighten, and those are adjustable. We'll go ahead and repeat the process with the other antenna and give that a tighten, and we'll go ahead and adjust that where we need it, and we'll just leave it in this position for now until we get it in the truck. So let's go ahead and take it outside, and let's go ahead and mount this thing up into the truck. Alright guys, now that I've changed, I am at work and I'm in front of my truck here. We're going to be installing this on a 2010 Peterbilt 386. Now I want to remind you that this can be adapted to any vehicle. It can be put on a boat, it can be put on a plane, it can be put on anything that you can find 12 volt power for both the monitor and camera. So in this case, like I said, 2010 Peterbilt 386. So let's go ahead and dive in. Okay guys, now that we climbed inside of the truck, what we're first going to do is come up with a game plan. Where are we going to mount everything? Now, if you're in a semi-truck, a lot of semi-trucks come with these positive and negative 12 volt supplies here. This is used to power radios, CB radio, shop radio, or whatever it may be. So in this case, it's actually going to be pretty easy to mount this system inside of a semi-truck. So if your semi-truck comes with a system like this, it'll be pretty straightforward on the installation. If you don't have any quick connects like that, you're going to have to search around for power. My suggestion would be to pull off this panel here, and there's going to be some sort of constant power in there. Now what you're going to have to do is tap into that constant power. You can find this constant power by using a power probe, or something as simple as a test light. Basically, the goal here is to find some sort of 12-volt power to power the monitor. As for the monitor mount, I think our best plan is to mount the monitor somewhere up here on the headliner. Now, the headliner is plastic material, so I think that the 3M adhesive mount will work best in this situation, but you can also use the hard mount if that's what you prefer. Now, at first glance, I think I would mount it somewhere right in here, but this sun visor, when you flip it into its regular position, would completely either block the monitor or eliminate that mounting position. So what I think we're gonna do is mount it somewhere in here. If that doesn't work, then I think we'll mount it somewhere in here. But let's go ahead and get the wiring figured out, and then we can always run the wires to the monitor. Now, before we do get started, I do want to clarify, I have been saying 12 volt this whole entire time. That is a pretty standard voltage in vehicles, but Haloview does specify that this system will run on anything from 10 to 32 volts. Okay guys, we went ahead and grabbed the monitor wiring harness, and what we're going to do is wire up some connectors to the ends of these wires. So in our case, since we only have a one camera system, we are going to be using just the red and black wires. Red and black. Red's your positive, black is your negative. Now you may be asking, what are all these other wires for? Well, you see, all of these other wires are trigger wires. So for example, if I were to wire up, let's say, trigger, the label says trig cam 2. That means trigger camera 2. So say for example, camera 2 is mounted to my right mirror. What I can do is wire this up to, say, the blinker assembly. When I put the blinker on, the monitor will switch to the right camera and display the view of that camera. So that's really versatile and really useful for a multiple camera system on a large vehicle. Like I said, we are using a one camera system here, so all we need is red and black, positive, negative. So in our case, what we're going to be doing is using two butt connectors on each end of this positive and negative, so we can mount that up on the radio stack up top. So what you're going to do, Haloview has already stripped the wires for you, so that's nice. You don't have to use a stripper. You're going to place your butt connector in your crimper, like so. Let's start with the positive. We're just going to stick the positive in. Now, notice how I can push it all the way through. You don't want to do that. You want to make sure that it has a solid connection. So you're going to want to put it just before it comes out. So see how it comes out? You're going to want to put it right before, line it up, and squeeze down. Okay, once you crimp your connection, what I like to do is do the tug test. Give it a little tug, make sure it's not going to come out. Notice how we have a nice solid connection there. It's completely crimped inside of the connector, and the wire is making contact with the metal. Now that we've done the positive wire, now we're going to move to the negative wire. We're going to just repeat the same process with the negative wire. Line it up. Put it in our crimper. And squeeze down. Same thing, do a little tug test. It's not coming loose, so we're good there. Now, for sake of installation, since we're not going to be using any of the trigger wires, I'm going to go ahead and trim the ends of the stripped wires so that these aren't making contact with any grounds and shorting out the system. So we'll just cut it real short. Just past the strip. Okay, so notice how I took all the stripped wire pieces off. So now it's just insulation, so this will not short out on any pieces of bare metal. Okay, another piece of advice for ease of installation, I have a little bit of electrical tape here, and what I'm going to do is tape only those trigger wires that we trimmed, keeping our red and black separate. And I'm just going to tape these together so they're kind of out of our way. They're not going to be all loose and getting in our way when we're installing this system. So I'm just going to hold everything together up here and just put a few wraps of electrical tape. That way that they're not all over the place when we're trying to install this. And then once we have it all installed, we'll go ahead and wrap it up nicely and get it out of the way. Okay guys, now that we got our connections all crimped onto the ends of the positive and negative wires, what we're gonna go ahead and do is mount them up and give them power. So these shouldn't be very tight. You should be able to just take these off by hand. Alright, so we got those taken off by hand. Now what we're gonna do is put our black wire to the black terminal here, which is our negative. So we'll go ahead and do that. Now you want to position these in a way that suits the way that you're going to mount the monitor. So for example, I know that I'm going to put the monitor over there to the left of these terminals, so I'm going to mount this butt connector facing that way. For example, I wouldn't want to mount it here and have the wire running that way. It's just little tips that will keep the installation easy for you. So once it's in there, just go ahead and tighten it down. It's got a good solid connection there. Now we're going to repeat the process with the positive wire. Put it in there, tighten it down, make sure it gets a good solid connection. Okay, now it's in. I'll get you guys a closer look at what I did here. So here are the two wires running from the wiring harness. I have my black running to the ground, and I have my red running to the power. Okay, so something that I suggest that you do before you start tucking wires away with zip ties or mounting anything permanently is make sure that you are getting power from your system up there to your monitor. So this is the wire coming out of the wiring loom, and this is the wire coming out of the monitor. What we're gonna go ahead and do is plug it in. Now, Haloview set this up so there's only one way you can plug it in. You have to line up the two lines, plug it in, and you can see that our monitor does have power. Okay, now that we have determined that the monitor does have power, what we're gonna go ahead and do is unplug it, and we're gonna go ahead and get the monitor mounted to where it needs to be. Okay, something that I do suggest doing before you mount the monitor into place is put your antennas on. The issue that I can see people running into is that they'll put the monitor where they want it, they find a good spot that they like, and then they put the antennas on and they find out that it doesn't work. So make sure you put your antennas on first so you can mount and mock up where the monitor needs to go based off of spacing with the antennas on. Okay, so this was shown earlier in the video, but I'll go ahead and do it again. You're gonna take your two antennas that are labeled monitor, and you're just gonna spin them on. Once those are mounted, we'll go ahead and move over to the other side and mount this monitor. Okay guys, I went ahead and took the adhesive mount that was supplied by Haloview and mounted it to the back of the camera. All you need to do is slide this little keyhole slot into this slot, and you can pretty much mount it wherever you want and then tighten this down based on where you want it. So I already went ahead and mounted it on here, and what we're going to go ahead and do is find a good spot for this monitor to mount with all the antennas and everything, find a good spot where everything's going to clear. Okay, so we have the visor in the normal position stowed away, and what we're going to go ahead and do is hold this up to a spot that we think that we're going to want to mount it. So let's go ahead and slide this antenna somewhere up in here, and thinking somewhere right about there. That's flush with the roof. I can still probably see it from my seat, and it's not obstructing my windshield view any more than these radios are. So I think that's going to be a good spot. So let's go ahead and pull it down and take the sticky off. Okay guys, so we have the adhesive here. Now a big part of using adhesive mounts is making sure that the surface that you are mounting the adhesive to is clean. So what I went ahead and did is took a Clorox wipe and just wiped off the dash up there just to make sure that the surface that we are applying this adhesive to is completely clean and free of any dust. If you do not do this, you run the risk of this falling down at some point in the future. So what we're gonna go ahead and do is peel off the adhesive here. Looks pretty straightforward. Looks like we are gonna have to do it peel by peel here. At least get it started. Probably could have started up here, that's alright. And avoid touching the adhesive as much as you can. You want to keep this surface as sticky as possible, so avoid touching it. Just go ahead and discard this for now. We'll put this down here, and let's go ahead and mount it up at the top. Alright guys, we're going to go ahead and mount this monitor. We're going to be really careful, make sure that this adhesive doesn't touch anything but the surface we want it to stick on. Make sure that all of your mounts are pretty loose so you can pretty much put this wherever you need it. And then once it's in a good spot, you're going to tighten everything down. So let's go ahead and slide it right up here. And that's a good spot right there. Okay, so make sure that you put firm pressure on all of the little tabs that the adhesive is on, so you get a solid connection with the surface that you're trying to stick to. Alright, so that's pretty good. The monitor is staying under its own, the adhesive is holding under the monitor's total weight suspended from it. So that's pretty good. Now what we can do is hold the monitor where we want it. Looks like that's a pretty good spot. And you'll come to the back and you'll tighten up. Alright, so we're pretty happy with this position. Now what we're going to go ahead and do is put power to it, make sure we still have power, and then we're going to go ahead and tuck away all the wires to make this look like a nice, neat installation. Okay guys, this is the wiring harness end that plugs into the monitor. What we're going to go ahead and do is tidy this up with a few zip ties and a little bit of magic. So what we're going to go ahead and do, what I like to do, is just run it around your hand like this. You're going to do this until it gets relatively tight. Now what you're going to want to do is leave a little bit of slack on this end. So we'll leave about a little less than a foot on this end. And we're just going to keep going until we're relatively tight. We're almost to the end of the harness here, about a foot left on there. What we're going to go ahead and do is take our hand out from there, squeeze it down like that, and we're going to take a zip tie and run it right across the middle. Okay, so that tidies it up. Now we're just going to take a pair of side cutters and we're going to go ahead and cut it clean there. So now we have a clean wiring assembly that we can tuck the bulk of the wire, behind the radio stack there, and it's not going to be hanging and getting in the way of the windshield or anything like that. Another thing that I'm going to do is, remember this set of wires that we cut and put a piece of tape around? What I'm going to do with this is I'm going to run it backwards, so away from the red and black, and then I'm just going to run a zip tie there. Just keep this all clean and out of the way. And then we'll perform the same step. We'll just go ahead and cut it. And now we're ready to tuck all this away. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and show you my wiring loom here. Okay, so we have the positive and the negative wires. This is our negative, this is our positive. We have them running back into here. That wiring loom is just kind of resting on top of the radio here, and then everything else is tied up back here. Now this may look like a mess back here, but this is pretty standard on truck and trailers with this much electronics going on. We have a CB radio, a shop radio, a dash camera, and now the monitor. So the nice thing is that when you're looking from in the cab, pretty much everything is hidden away from the view. So it's a pretty clean installation. I'm pretty happy with it. Now this is just the monitor. Now we got to go ahead and move on to the camera. Okay, now that we've come to the back of the trailer, this is where we're going to be mounting the actual camera to. We're going to be mounting it to this rear bumper. And once we come in a little closer, we can see that we have a license plate light. This light is on all the time. So what we're going to have to do, since we know that that does have power, is we're going to tap into the power there. So here, I tore away some of the insulation and exposed a white and black wire. Now this black wire is going to be our negative and this white wire is going to be our positive. So what we're going to go ahead and do is cut it right both down the middle and tap in the camera power there. Okay, so what we're going to do is just take a pair of side cutters here and cut it right down the middle. There's two. Now that we split it, what we're going to go ahead and do is put our camera system in line with probably this side, since the camera is going to be mounted somewhere around here. So let's go ahead and get that set up. Alright, so now that we've got the wires cut, what we're going to go and do is take our wire strippers and we're going to go and strip these wires. Now I'm purposely going to make this side a little bit longer than the other because this is the side that I'm going to tie in the camera. Okay, so this is the loom from the camera. I have it sitting above on the trailer deck up here. What we're going to go ahead and do is, you can see these are really shortly cut. So what we're going to go do is strip those back a little bit further. That way we have a little more wire to work with. So we're going to go ahead and put it in the wire stripper and just strip it back. Repeat the process on the negative wire. And we're just going to go ahead and strip it back. Alright, go ahead and pull those off. Alright, so now we got about an inch of wire to work with. So now I'm going to teach you my process in putting wires together. Okay, so this is my process on how to put wires together inside of a butt connector. So what I like to do, we're going to do the negative first. What I like to do is split the larger wire right down the middle. Then we're going to take our negative from the camera and we're going to put it right in the middle, like so, and we're going to fold it down. That way we can get this started. We're going to twist so it locks it in, and then we're going to bring it back up from back here. We're going to bring it back up to meet everything and twist it all together. See how that incorporates this little wire into the middle strands of all this, pretty much locking it in. So honestly, I'd be comfortable just putting tape around that and calling it a day, but we're going to do it a little bit better than that. So now that we have it set up like that, what I like to do is trim away the excess. So we'll just kind of flatten it out up here, like so. Since we're putting two wires together, what we're going to be using is a 12 to 10 gauge butt connector. So what we're going to go ahead and do is make sure that this seats properly. What I like to do is give a twisting motion in the direction that you twisted these wires. So we twisted them clockwise, so we're going to put this on and twist it clockwise. Make sure it seats. Push it, push it, push it. Make sure it seats, but make sure it doesn't go out so far that you can't get the other wire in. And what we're going to go ahead and do is crimp that down. So something that you can see on this crimper here is 12 to 10, which is written right here. So what we're going to go ahead and do is line it up in that slot, like so. Make sure that that wire is seated, and we're just going to squeeze it down. Give it the tug test like we did before. Looks like we're good there. Now we're going to repeat the process for this white. So split it. Put it in the middle, hold it down, fold up, lock it in place, bring it back up, and twist it all together. Trim it to length. Get yourself a butt connector. Put it in the 12 to 10 slot. Put it in. Okay, so this is a common problem that can happen. The wires will start coming undone. You want to make sure that they're all in there together so nothing's sticking out of the bottom of the connector. So make sure it's up in there properly and squeeze down. Now we have our negative and our positive. Okay, so now we're going to bring our loom from here and we're just going to insert them into the corresponding wires. So we're going to line up white to white and black to black. So what I like to do before, like we did earlier, just twist them. Make sure they're nice and straight. We can trim a little bit of excess here. Okay, so now what we're going to do is line up our butt connector in the 12 to 10 slot. Now this is the black wire, as you can see. We're going to go and take our black wire, insert it in, and squeeze. Do a little tug test. It's good. Good. Now we're going to repeat the process with the white. Insert in. And squeeze. Okay, so now what we're going to go ahead and do is verify that the camera is on and connected by going back into the cab and making sure that we have picture from the monitor. Alright guys, and check it out, we do have picture. I parked the golf cart behind the camera and about 5-6 feet away, and that's what we got. So that's pretty dang cool. Didn't even have to do any pairing. There are instructions in the manual if you do have to pair the camera, but it linked right up, came up here, and it was already ready to go. So let's just clean up our wiring and mount the camera and we'll be done. Okay guys, so what we're gonna do is use the Allen wrench that was provided by Haloview in the box, and we're gonna go ahead and pull these bolts out. That way we can pull this cover off and mount this bottom plate, and then we'll put the camera back in and we'll be done. So let's go ahead and loosen these up. Okay, now that we got all 4 bolts out, we'll go ahead and just slide the camera out. Okay, so in this case, what we're gonna go ahead and do is hold it where we want it. We're gonna take this Sharpie and just mark exactly where we need the holes. All right, cool. That gave us a good look at where we need to mount. And what I'm gonna do is only use 2 screws for this. 2 should be more than enough, so what I'm gonna do is offset them, 1 here, 1 there. And like I said, you might have to adapt this to your vehicle. In this case, I'm not using the hardware supplied by Haloview, since none of it would punch through this thick of steel. So we're just gonna use 2 self-tapping screws, 1 here, 1 there, and then we'll pull them out and mount them straight into this camera mount. Alright guys, now that we have these holes drilled out for the self-tapping screws, with the self-tapping screws, we're going to go ahead and take this plate here and drive these screws into the holes. Go ahead and just get it started and we'll send them down. Alright. There. Alright, cool. That's mounted in. Now we'll go ahead and put the camera in. We also need the top screen. Put that back in. That one clicks into place. Take our 4 mounting screws, mount the camera at the angle that we need it. Sink it out. Cool. Alright, so now what I'm going to go ahead and do is tidy up all the wiring and we will be done. So I will see you guys after I do that. We're just going to repeat the same process, a little electrical tape and to protect the butt connectors, and zip ties to tie everything together. So see you after that. Alright guys, so there's the backup camera mounted, and then I just put the whole loom of wire exactly where it was earlier and protected it with some electrical tape to protect it from the elements. And let's go ahead and take a look in the cab and we would be done. Alright guys, when we take a look inside the cab, we can see the display. It is very clear, barely any delay between the signal. And overall, I'm really impressed with this unit. Super easy to install, versatile, can be adapted to any vehicle. Alright guys, well hopefully you enjoyed this install video of the Haloview wireless backup camera system. I'm really impressed with it and I'm looking forward to using it in the future. I want to remind you that if you are interested in this product, please be sure to use my affiliation link down in the description below. Any proceeds from a purchase by you guys, a percentage of that is going to be put back toward this channel. So if you would use that, that'd be much appreciated. Alright guys, as always, like, comment, subscribe. Thanks for watching, and go ahead and give Haloview a check out. This video would not be possible without them.